guys, it's Catherine Middlebrooks of BRB Yoga. Today I am here with a couple quick tips for those of you who are struggling with upper back and neck discomfort. This is such a common issue. I hear it all the time from moms, and I want to talk about some really simple ways that you can help reduce that discomfort. So why does this happen? Well, obviously we spend a lot of time rounding. If you're breastfeeding, you're really like this all the time. If you're carrying babies, there's a lot of roundedness. It's also just a part of the culture we live in. We spend a lot of time seated at a desk, at a computer. But there are also some postpartum things going on that can make this issue worse. And the first of that is the fact that our back muscles get really, really tight, and that changes the way we breathe. So what I want to share today are 3 simple tips that can help reduce the discomfort in your upper back and neck. Let's get started. Tip number 1. Notice your head position. So you've probably heard that quote, right? Where when you're holding your head up and it's straight on top of your spine, it's very little weight on the spine. But when you move your head forward, you now are basically putting the weight of a bowling ball pulling on your spine. There's a difference between everything being stacked and everything being unstacked. It's a lot more work for the body when we are not stacking our joints properly. So if you tend to be someone who lives like this, you will want to change that. The best way that I have found to do this is what's called the eavesdrop. So instead of living here, you imagine you are listening to a super juicy conversation behind you. Whoop, and it pops your head back right in line with the rest of your spine, and it creates immediate relief in that upper back and neck. So again, you go from here to, oh, there's something to listen to behind me. I perk up and I get my head back in line with the rest of my spine. You will want to do this throughout the day. So just start noticing, set a timer every hour and just notice where your head is, and then, pull it back. The more you do it, the more consistent you are with it, the more you'll start noticing when you're living out of that position. So that's tip 1. Second tip, I want you to start noticing the way that you are breathing. All right, so postpartum women, because we've grown a baby in our belly, it's changed the way our diaphragm works. We tend to breathe in a less than ideal way. We tend to stop using our diaphragm, stop using our rib cage, and instead start using these secondary muscles in our body to breathe. So what does that look like? Well, you're not using your diaphragm and you're using other muscles to breathe. What ends up happening is you start using your neck and shoulder muscles to help you breathe. So when you inhale, the shoulders lift up. They lift up to help create some more space in the rib cage so that some air can come in, and then you exhale and you drop it down. Inhale, exhale. Right? So if you think about it, you are literally then using these muscles every single breath of the day to get you to breathe. And they get worn out and tired and they start hurting. So paying attention to whether or not that's your pattern. Do you breathe by lifting up your shoulders? If you do, you're going to want to change that. The best way to breathe is by breathing into the rib cage. You want to think about keeping the shoulders down, keeping the neck soft, and inhaling and feeling your rib cage expand left to right and forward and back. When you do this, your belly's going to move a little bit. When the rib cage expands, then the belly will also expand a little bit, but you're not sending a ton of breath into your belly. It's primarily going into the rib cage. So that means the shoulder and the neck don't need to work to help you breathe, and they get the much needed break that they deserve. So that's tip number 2. Start paying attention to the way you're breathing. Are you using your neck and shoulders? And if you are, try to shift yourself out of that pattern. Okay, tip number 3. Open your back body up. So this goes hand in hand with tip number 2. In tip number 2, we're talking about expanding the rib cage to breathe, right? And I said we want to expand when we breathe. We want the rib cage to go left to right and front to back. So we want to feel like the entire rib cage is opening as we inhale. However, a lot of postpartum women are extremely tight in their back muscles. So when they try and breathe into their ribs, it's like the ribs are like, I don't want you to move me. And so then it's really hard to breathe into the ribs because the muscles are preventing you from breathing into the ribs. So what I want to give you is a really simple exercise that will just help open the back body a little bit. So what you want to do is have something low to the ground. I actually do not recommend a rolling chair, but that's what I have. So I'm going to use that as an example. And you're going to come into a squatting position. You're going to grab hold of the bottom of whatever it is. If it's a chair, if it's your couch, just grab hold really low to the ground. Arms outside of the legs. You're going to have a rounded spine here. Drop your chin down to your chest. And then the legs are now kind of squashing my front body. So now when I breathe, it's going to send openness into these back muscles. So you let your head relax down and you try and breathe really deeply. And just feel how that breath starts to expand those back muscles from the inside out. So you're breathing in. You'll probably feel a little bit of breath hitting your pelvic floor as well. That's what's supposed to happen when you take a big breath in. And just do, 5 to 10 breaths like that every day will really help open up those muscles, which will make that rib breathing much, much easier. Now, one little note on this. If this is for some reason not good for your pelvic floor, maybe it feels like I'm going to pee myself if I do that, if I let my pelvic floor relax that much. Well, you can modify this and get the same result. So you would simply come onto a chair with some blocks in front of you. So now I've got my hips higher. I've got my feet elevated too, and I just wrap my arms around, tuck my chin into my chest. Same thing. Breathe, send that breath into the back of the rib cage so that those muscles start to loosen up and it allows that breath to come more easily into the rib cage. So there you have it, my 3 tips for helping to reduce some of your upper back and neck discomfort. If you have any questions, let me know. Bye.